What's up, guys? My name is Devale Ellis, former NFL athlete, now current actor, also father to 3 beautiful boys, Jackson, Cairo, and Kaz, and husband to the greatest wife in the world, Garner Ellis. So it's kind of funny when people talk about, my rise to fame. I'm often given the title as social media superstar. And the funny thing is I didn't even start on social media. I've been acting for years. Prior to turning 30, I was a commercial actor. I've done over 7 national campaigns. I've been on shows like Power, Blacklist, Blue Bloods, a ton of primetime shows, Mysteries of Laura. And then I just got stagnant because I was always typecasted as the same guy. I was the black guy with muscles, and I always had on an orange jumpsuit. And I'll never forget, one time I was watching Power with Jackson. Everyone was waiting for my scene to come up. And the scene comes up with Tommy, where I have to curse Tommy out in jail. And Jackson goes, "Man, you always have on that orange jumpsuit." And that kind of hit home for me. And I was just like, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. So it's funny whenever I talk about how I got the role of Sisters and how important controlling your own narrative is. I was acting for about 5 years prior to getting this role on Sisters, and like I said before, I'd always played the thug or the gangster, and I had done a ton of commercials, but I hadn't done a lot of legit TV work. For me, acting is not just what I want to do. I want to create content. As you guys know, my wife and I also have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, we have TV shows in development right now, and it really isn't just about acting for me. So while I was going through this transition of trying to get a full-time acting job, I was meeting people, I was meeting casting directors, I was meeting producers, a lot because of the content that I was creating on my own. At the time, I had had a meeting with Raven, who's the lead casting director at Tyler Perry Studios, and I had a meeting with her through Tiandra Gale, who was a friend of mine. She casted me in my first film, Full Circle. So Tiandra called me and said, "Hey, we're doing a ton of new projects here at Tyler Perry Studios. I know you're trying to get in front of the camera a lot. I just want you to meet Raven." Raven called me in and I auditioned for her. She co-read, she sent me some sides. I read the sides in front of her. She said she thought I was amazing, and nothing happened from there. Whole year goes by, I get a phone call, "Hey, Raven wants you to come in and read for this role on the show called The Oval." So I was like, great. I read for it. I flew out there, got there. Before I left, they had told me that I got the role on the show The Oval. So I was excited. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Mark Swinton saying that they thought that there may be a better role for me on another show they're developing called Sisters. It comes on right after The Oval. So they sent me the sides, I read for it, they hired me, and the rest is history. Being on Sisters has been a blessing. Like I said before, the last thing I said I wanted to be was a criminal on TV again. So then I get the role of Sisters, and Zach's character has been in and out of prison. He's dealing with recidivism, which to me is ironic, but I love it because it tells the deeper side of the story. He's not just a criminal. He's a young black man who's trying to get his life together and has been taken by the system and is struggling with how to love the woman that he's in love with, because socioeconomically he just can't keep up. The whole show, Sisters, is ultimately about black millennial women and the sisterhood they create with each other and how they support each other through everything, through careers, through finances, through relationships, and how they bond together. If you watch the show, the 4 black leads bond together through their toughest time, and that's what the show is ultimately about. But it's also about the men in the show and showing the dynamic between millennial black women and millennial black men, and how we're trying to exist and live together while both trying to get the American dream in a system that's not designed for black millennial Americans. And it's exciting to watch because you get to see these real stories happen in real time. And I think that's why people have tuned in, they love it. I'm gonna take y'all back to 2003. And I'll never forget, Martin was on TV. And Kadeen was just like, so, in her true West Indian, Jamaican, Vincentian self, and so, what's your plans? What do you want to do? And I looked at the TV and I said, that. And she was like, what? I was like, I want to be on TV. I want to act. I want to have my own show. And it was funny because I never felt comfortable telling people that, because when you say things like that to people, they often have, a response, like, I act like you can't. But when I said it to her, I saw a calmness, and then she was just like, that's cool. So how you gonna do it? And for the first time, I kind of felt like, dang, I found somebody who believes in the things that I say, and you just met me. Kadeen was pregnant, and people started to pay attention because I started to document her giving birth to Cairo, which was our second son at the time, and I noticed that people started paying attention. And then I realized, like, this is actually bigger than me just making skits to become an actor. I started reading the comments and reading the DMs, and I realized that a lot of people aren't used to seeing Black fatherhood. Like, I got a lot of wow and a lot of really this happens, and I was just like, what, normal stuff? Like me changing diapers. So then I started to use that as a way to change the narrative about Black fatherhood and kind of humanize being a Black millennial male who's also a dad and a husband. And then from there, things just started to take off, and the rest is history. My plan was to create a catalog of videos so that once people found me, they had constant content to watch. And the video that actually went viral wasn't necessarily a video that I expected to go viral. It was a video of me walking around with Cairo and venting about my morning. I had turned this into my 60-second stand-up. And then it became a battle of the sexes between men and women, because women were saying, finally, you have reached an opportunity to see what women and moms go through every day. And I said, that's interesting, because in my house, my father was the one who did a lot of these things. And then a lot of dads mean, just because we don't show it, doesn't mean we don't do it. So for me, being a father is just my way of leaving my thumbprint on the world. When I was in college, I wrote a mission statement. Every day I work to build a legacy, not to be defined by my greatness, but by the masses I inspire to be greater than myself. What better way can I inspire the masses than to be a great dad? And I just want to be an example that you can do that, have fun, and still be cool. You can still wear salmon shirts and be a dad and be on Blavity giving interviews and go home and still make a ham and cheese sandwich, play ball, and make love to your beautiful wife. It's cool, you can do that. I'm proof. Holla at your boy.